Welcome to episode 46 of Beer with Strangers. I'm your host, Tony Russo, and I'm joined this week, as I'm joined every week, by my co-host, Doug Griffith.
Hi, it's Doug Griffith. And it's almost every week. Once in a while, Sean sits in
Every
for
now
me,
and then.
but
I think sometimes he gets a look at the email and he's like, I've got it. I've got to address this.
oh, he wants to talk about some things, and he talks well.
Oh, he does. He's really good at it. So let's start off. How do we usually start off?
Weather. It's much, much better. We actually saw sun today. Yesterday was really a crappy day, but today, most all, if not all, the snow is gone. So it was a halfway decent day. Weather or temperature-wise, it's not too bad out, but got to 40, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's weird now that I'm back in the newspaper business. I actually don't get to see the sun at this time of year because I get in really before it comes up, and then by the time I leave, the sun's gone down. So I miss the sun often. Lots of great things to talk about this week. We actually have a follow-up to what we were talking about last week because there was some news in it. And also I spoke with Lori at Third Wave, and she was bragging to me that her brewers would be here doing some stuff. So we want to talk about that again. Okay. We'll just keep hitting that until the dates come and go. But it was funny. I was telling her one of the things that is Jerry, one of the brewers, is going to do an all-grain brewing event here Saturday the 31st. Yes. And
you're much better with dates than I am.
Yeah. Well, it's my job. So I was telling her, I'm like, yeah, I was going to go out and film it. And I said, but I don't know if I will. And she said, why? And I said, because it's outside and I'm a big baby. I said, I'd like to come, but I don't want to say that I'm going to come and then have it be nasty. And you'd be like, I don't want to be in the nastiness. So I'll just, if it's nice, then I'll come.
But at least it's covered. We have a place to do it.
That's exactly what she said. It's covered. It's going to be, and that's the pitch. You know, it's covered. It's going to be nice.
When I have to, I can always put a tarp up so that you
don't have to stand in the rain.
Right.
But I think it'll be fun, and he's just such a great guy. He'll be. Do you know what he's brewing yet? Have you discussed?
I have no idea. We just got the date set last week. So.
And the other event that we wanted to talk about is the upcoming. I'm sorry. What is John doing? He's doing sour.
Talking about sour beers, and that's in third week in February.
And now is he going to be brewing them, or is it just a talk?
Just talk about it.
Will he bring Third Wave to taste? Do you know if he'll make that Tennessee
Wild
Ale or whatever?
I hope he'll bring something to taste.
That was very good. But yeah, so please come out for that. I was speaking with Dan DeVillio, the editor of the Kent County News today, and I was encouraging him. He said he's got homebrew kit for Christmas 2 years ago, and he's like, I finally tried it, and he said, and it was awful. So I want to ask you a question from him. He said the aroma was great, but it had no flavor, and it wasn't really carbonated very well.
The carbonation maybe hasn't let it sit for a while. I mean,
I'm assuming 3 weeks he had.
But where was it sitting? That's the big question.
Sometimes was it too cold?
Yes. Sometimes, even with experienced brewers, we get questions this year about carbonation in the bottle, because if you brew all summer and you bottle your beer and you set it out in the garage, which is a lot of people keep their beer, summertime's fine because it's generally in the 70s, 80s. So It carbonates. It goes through another fermentation. It's bottle conditioned. So it needs to be somewhere 70, 75. And if it's a little warmer, it's fine generally because the beer's got all its flavor and everything from the primary fermentation. But this time of year, if you do the same thing and you set it in the garage, well, it may only be 40 degrees in the garage or 50 degrees. And it just doesn't carbonate because it has to ferment just a bit to carbonate it.
Mm-hmm. So, and would that affect the flavor too, or do you think
it's not affect the flavor? It's just not going to be carbonated,
right?
And generally, what you have to do is bring it back inside, so it's just to 70 degrees, right? And not kickstart, just warm it up so it can finish fermenting. With bottled beer, there's a small amount, generally about a teaspoon of sugar that goes in each bottle, and that goes through another fermentation. Mm-hmm. The yeast works on that, which gives off carbon dioxide, and that's where the fizz comes from.
I wonder if his lack of carbonation is what makes him think that there's no flavor, because it seems to me that if
there should be flavor. I mean, if he's got aroma.
Yeah, if he's got aroma.
But lack of carbonation could equate somewhat to lack of flavor but you got those aromatics. You should have flavor also.
Something, yeah. So that was weird. So I told him come in and ask you.
Yeah. Bring a bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it's either should be malty or bitter.
Something.
Yeah.
And that's what I made the pitch to him, which I want to make to you guys again. And we usually make it at the end of the podcast, and hopefully I'll remember to. But in case I forget, if you have a bunch of people who want, because that's used like. The bunch of us got together and we all screwed up our beer. I'm like, well, you could come.
Right. We'll give classes.
I said, just give them a call and arrange for a class. I said, they're always happy to make people brew better beer because it's better for everyone.
Brew more beer for us.
And more beer for us. I said, I don't think anyone appreciates what a wonderful way it is to spend a Saturday afternoon to come down. A couple snacks, a couple of tastes of a couple of the beers, and then you get to watch people brew or brew yourself and participate in the brewing process.
And we'll talk about any subjects, although we try not to get too advanced for new brewers because you can get more confused and sometimes than what it's worth.
Right.
But if we get people in that have brewed some, then we're always willing to talk about more advanced stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so anyway, just remember, if you want to call and come in, they're always happy to have you. So the other thing that we talked about last week and what I wanted to tag up on is we were talking about naming problems and people suing one another over names. And I wrote a blog post about it. And in that blog post, I said sometimes the brewers can seem a lot like politicians, because when I cover politicians, local politicians, they always look like they're dressed up like their dads. Like they're like, this is how big time politicians are. But they're clearly not big time politicians, and they look a little silly doing it. And that's what I was saying is kind of what's going on with the whole naming thing, where like you stole my name. Now we're going to sue each other as if we were Budweiser and Miller when we're not. And so no sooner did that blog come out than Lagunitas sued or threatened to sue anyway, Sierra Nevada. Over the shape of the words IPA, which was petty, and it was
I think you could probably look back in history, and you'll find that probably on dozens of other beers that have been made in the last probably 20 years, 30 years, but I know they're just trying to get their chunk of the. And I advertising
absolutely, and I almost understand it, but it's tough. So for what it's worth, this was breaking. I didn't send this to you. I don't know if you heard it, but they withdrew the suit.
Oh, good.
Because people like me. I wasn't commenting on that, but everyone they're like, "What the hell are you doing?"
I heard there's a lot of comments out on Facebook and Twitter, but I hadn't heard they had.
Yeah, people got so mad within 24 hours he'd withdrawn the suit. I read a great interview with him today, and that's what he said. He's like, "Listen, I think we would have won the case. I think we should be able to have this be ours, but not so much that I want everyone to stop drinking my beer."
IPAs have been around since the mid 1800s.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough sell, and that's what we were talking about last week. And what I elaborated on in the blog was, what? Why don't you just make a really good beer? Call it whatever you want. Call it, that's what we were saying. Dale's. Call it Dale's Pale Ale. Call it Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. That doesn't have a kooky name. It's easy to defend. It's just.
But But I understand. IPA is a beer style.
Right.
It's been designated by the BJCP as a beer styles.
Right.
The fact that you put IPA.
And it's the shape of the letters is what they were. That's a tough sell.
I think Sierra Nevada could do the same thing for a whole lot of other people. But they've been doing it for
so long.
30 years, Yeah. But I don't know. It's just
disappointing.
Yeah.
Disappointing. But I'm happy to see it go away. And again, so I'm going to at least continue to push the naming convention. Josh's Turkey Drool. If you want to make Ed's Turkey Drool, make Ed's Turkey Drool. And whichever one is better, I'll tell you what, that's the one I'm going to order.
And if you make it, you can call it Tony's
Turkey Drool, right. And it's just going to be the best beers are going to be undeniable. And that's the best way to do it, right? And that was the other thing I said, 60-minute IPA is possibly the least creatively named beer in the world because this is what's in this bottle. but it's good. It doesn't have to have a kooky name.
But there's 60-minute, 90-minute, 120-minute. That's kind of a unique designation
For how long they did it.
For that a naming of beer. Now it's an IPA and
Right.
pale ale, but it's kind of a unique. And
It's the way they did it,
Right.
but it wasn't a kooky name. It was a name that just described the beer. Just describe your beer and let us drink it. How's that?
Yeah.
I like that deal. That just sounds like a deal I can get behind is all. Another story that we wanted to talk about this week. I'm sorry. Also, we're going to have a guest next week for sure. So please tune in. Very excited to have Anthony Towney, who is the editor of SureCraftBeer.com, which is a website that we may or may not be carrying. They may or may not carry the podcast. I may or may not write for them, but he's going to at least come on every now and again and talk beer, craft beer industry news. Yeah. They're sponsoring tastings, which I think is cool for the wait staff, like so that the wait staff can talk,
becomes more educated
intelligently about the beers that are on tap. And so they're kind of insinuating themselves. They're helping, I guess, because the distributors will do that from time to time, but not enough, I guess, for everybody's taste. So they're having these events. They're going to have the brewers are going out. I think that Jerry from Third Wave and Brian are already committed to going to these events.
Well, if you got a wait staff who is not beer oriented, I mean, to know whether it's a lager or an ale is one thing. Know whether it's hoppy or malty,
right?
And you get the combinations of hoppy, malty lagers or ales, and then all the different styles that come with ales or lagers. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of education for a person. Yes. I know Dogfish has done a lot to bring people in to go through, have their wait staff. Ray Daniels, who wrote Designing Great Beers, I know he does that as a, besides writing books, but as a vocation. He goes around different places and helps educate.
Training.
Right.
That's brilliant. Again, just if the idea is that people can learn to appreciate beer, which is fine,
And I think with Dogfish, they've got such a variety of beers. You need to have
you've got to have somebody keep track of all that and how they go. I did want to compliment you and Jerry. I had the coffee and cream stout last night at
Third Wave.
So good.
Yeah, it is good, isn't it?
So good. I forget. It's just surprisingly good. So the coffee and cream stout, they make it here, or you can get kits to make it yourself here. You can buy it at Third Wave, and it's essentially the same recipe.
Yeah. Well, Jerry came up with it when he was working, probably 5 years ago, when he was working for us, and he talked to Lori about making it down there, and she said, "Sure, why not?"
Because it's not sweet. Because a lot of those, even Rise Up Stout, which is very popular, and I don't mind Rise Up Stout, but I can only have one Rise Up Stout because it's too sweet.
But it's not bitter either.
Right. This is just coffee flavored. It's as if the coffee was, Sean was telling me about cold steeped coffee.
Yeah. But it does have some lactose in it, which helps sweeten it up. So if you didn't have that, it would be on the bitter side.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind it on the bitter side, but I'm not like the sweet that again. And it's not knocking Rise Up Stout. I will drink a Rise Up Stout, but I won't drink two because it's very sweet. And people who love it, my wife is crazy about Rise Up Stout because she likes that little bit of a sweetness to it. It's too much for this coffee and cream stout. I don't know if they're not bottling yet, but if you go by the Third Wave, get your hands on it. I don't know if they brought it to Wilmington. They're up in Wilmington today. I was hoping my daughter would go and say hello. They're having an Eastern Shore beer tap takeover at a Wilmington restaurant.
Great.
Yeah, so it's Dogfish and Real Revival and Third Wave and Burley and Evo and Mississippian, I think. And I don't know if 16.
That's great.
God bless those guys at 16 Mile. They're not afraid to do their own thing.
Well, we don't have any coffee and cream stout on, but we do have another stout on that we call our Darker at Night stout.
So, I had that too.
So you can have that for a taste here shortly when we're done the podcast.
Yes, when we're done with the podcast, which we are going to wrap up a little early today because I'm still at work. That's the other thing. My new job is going to be a little bumpy for the next couple of weeks, just to like get.
No, you just have an appointment in a half hour.
I just have an appointment in half an hour. So moving right on. Oh, so beer experts. I don't know if you did. Did you read that blog? Did you get a chance to read that blog? Well, tell me your take on it, because I'm always talking. What do you think about the?
Well, I think you need somebody who can quantify what a style is and how it tastes and what it should be. Not that, I mean, go look at Dogfish. They had a long time before they ever got any awards because they were all out of style. Everything they made was out of style. It was good, but it was out of style. It was too hoppy, or it wasn't hoppy enough, or no, it's never not hoppy enough, but too much alcohol, or whatever the case may be. But I think you go back to Michael Jackson. He tried to quantify, and he spent a lifetime trying to quantify beer and wrote about beer. And I think you need people who can put and I'm horrible at putting taste to words.
Right.
You need somebody who has that expertise, such as yourself. I mean, you're a good writer, and you can describe things to the minute detail, and that's great. We need people who do that, who can taste things and say, this is what it tastes like, so that you know how to compare other things.
I agree, but I don't know if we need, because Sean and I actually also kind of had this I don't know how badly we need reviewers like this is good, this is bad.
Right.
You know,
it's personal opinion.
Exactly. Is this a well-built beer?
Yeah.
And actually I was giving you the same credit you gave me just now when I was being interviewed earlier today about the book that I wrote, and they were like, how did you become, so well versed on beer? I'm like, I'm not. I just hang around with people who know what they're talking about. I ask them questions and then they answer the questions. I said, that's what you need to do if you want to know about beer. And I hope this makes a story, because I think it's true. If you want to know about beer, go to these breweries or come here and learn to brew and talk to people who know what they're talking about. They will give you an idea about balance. I think once you get the idea of balance in your head, that helps a lot,
but that's why we have so many everybody has a different idea of balance, which is different. I know, but it's like you say, your wife loves the Evolution Rise Up Stout.
Right.
It's too sweet for you.
Right.
But she likes the sweetness. So for her balance, she tends to the sweet side.
That's true. I see. Yes.
So, I mean, a lot of these things that's why any one person describes things. When you get 12 people, you're going to get 12 different opinions. Now, hopefully some of those opinions are going to be similar, but you're going to have 12 opinions.
Well, but for me, it's like, I know that Rise Up Stout is a good beer. It's just,
too sweet for you.
That's the difference. I think that some people are like, I don't like this, so it's a bad beer. And I think you get more credibility if you're like, I don't like this, but it's a good beer. I just don't like the taste.
You start at one point. And if you went to a restaurant and you had third wave coffee and cream stout, or you had Rise Up Stout, you would pick third wave because it's not as sweet. Where your wife knows, she'd take the other.
Absolutely.
But it's knowing your beers. And I think that said, one of the biggest challenges that craft breweries have is repeatability. So that they make the same
every time.
Right. Now, Budweiser, you can be guaranteed. It's always the same.
Budweiser in Japan and Budweiser in Arizona, same beer.
Right. But the craft beers or breweries, especially when they're early in size or early in longevity and small in size, don't have a good laboratory or as good a quality control because they don't have the personnel to do it.
Right. They've just got to hope for the best until they.
Third wave. You've got mainly Jerry and John.
Right.
That is staff, no matter what it is. Now they pull in Lori whenever needed, and any other help that are doing the bartending when they need something done in the back. But for the most part,
gonna taste it and say this is
those are the
matter.
Two. Right. You don't pass it to quality control, and everybody.
Right.
I know Dogfish has a quality control staff, and they do periodic tastings they put them up, and you got to do blind tastings. Is it good or bad?
Right.
And then they load it sometimes with bad beer.
Yeah, and that's how you know that your
Right.
60-minute IPA or your 90-minute IPA is going to be a solid beer. All right, so we're going to wrap it up for this evening. But before we do, I want to get to classes. We have wine. You just did wine?
Just did wine last Saturday. Anyway, we got some.
Classes. Check the website.
Yeah. I can't remember.
That's okay. Well, check the website.
But we have got both wine and beer, and as you said, we got Jerry coming the end of the month. We've got John doing some third wave doing a class on sour beers. We're talking to Mike Perinsky from Evolution. He's going to do a class either on water or yeast, or maybe talk about both. We've got Mike Reese from Nassau Valley Vineyards going to talk about advanced winemaking.
Wow.
And that's all we, plus the normal basic stuff periodically.
That's brilliant. And almost all of those, unless it's not possible for me to be here, almost all of those you will be able to find on the website here at the YouTube channel. And as always, like, comment, follow, all of the things that you're supposed to do. That's it. That's all I got for this week. It's have less stuff, have better stuff. We got to find a better close. I don't know. Yeah. I can't make a good close.
But for all classes and stuff, you can either send us your email or get us on Facebook. Sean sends out periodic things on Facebook of what classes are going on and what events we have here, and we always have it on the website too. And my wife sends out periodic contact emails for everybody, constant contact to keep everybody informed.
Well, and that is at extremebrewing.com, with or without the X, with or without the E, rather. You need the X no matter what. extremebrewing.com, or a link to it from stateofthebeer.com, beerwithstrangers.com. We're on Twitter. We're on all those things. So anyway, have a great week. We will see you next Thursday at 5 with special guest Anthony Towney.
Thanks, Tim.